My name is Neha Bharadwaj. I'm from India and I'm here doing my MFA in Communication Design. Through my work, I have always tried to find a bigger purpose with design because I believe that design is meant to solve problems and then finally tell a story to the viewer. So often with my work, I try to aim at ensuring that my work is fulfilling that bigger purpose. Hence, for this thesis, I chose to work in the field of healthcare, mental health in specific, and burnout, which is the state of chronic stress. And it also focuses on the idea of empowering the user with the right information and the right tools to actually help themselves solve this problem. Before I came to SACI, I was working at a design studio in India, and in my 2 years that I was working there, I noticed that there was this constant need for communication within design, and sometimes it was beyond the word. And in my search to understand that better, that's what brought me to SACI, to really understand the importance of visual communication. Being consumers of digital media and being on Instagram all day, we are constantly absorbing information. Every second of it is spent absorbing information, and I personally feel that we don't use that to our advantage. Hence, making communication easy and effective is something that I really wanted to learn, and is what I'm doing. They say that knowing your history gives you the right tools for the future. So through my work, I have always tried to research and learn more about history and then focus on the present and the future. Coming from India, a country that's very rich in its culture and history, I really wanted to understand and learn how I can communicate and kind of package that culture and history for not just the people who live in the country, but also who are outside. And Florence has been one of those places that has really inspired me to really understand the importance of communicating culture. So being right in the heart of it and understanding all of that has really helped me understand how I can bring forward culture and really respect it through my work. So also working with a lot of designers in Florence has made me realize the importance of design and its role that it plays in history and even in the future, and has made me realize the scope of design and what it is and what it can be.
My name is Averi Biswas and I'm one of the MFA second year students in SACI. The theme I focused on was spirituality and meditation. My solo show was the result of my strive for peace. So when people enter the installation, I wanted them to feel the calming and peaceful effect of my blue pots and blue lights. So all these little pots are plants, and I've given them all organic shapes. They are like abstract form of plants, like these are leaves, and this is a flower, and this is the stem. And these are inspired by carnivorous plants. So all these different varieties of plants would make my jungle. So I plan to create like 108 pots. And when people entered my space, I wanted them to feel like they entered a completely separate world, like they are inside my world. The floor was painted blue and the top was covered with fabric, and they were surrounded by my pots, so they were completely immersed in my art. The installation was in the dark because when you're in the dark, you're more aware of your own senses, you're more aware of your own self. And also at one time only 5 people were allowed inside. So it would create this quiet and more intimate environment, which I wanted to have a intimate experience with my work. When I came in my first year, I was painting a lot and my work was more realism. I would paint what I would see, but by the time I made it to my second year, it was more about my inner self and what I was feeling, not what I was seeing. So this is a result of my emotion, all these pots and the installation that I did, A Quiet Place. At first, the influence was very direct because I was painting the tombs of San Miniato, because Florence is predominantly Christian and I am a Christian, but I come from India. So it was a weird experience. It was as if I arrived home, but I'm still not at home. So it was weird, but that's how it started. But I was also introduced to ceramics when I came to Florence. So I was always found pottery exciting and interesting, but I just never thought I would dabble into it, and then I got the opportunity, and then I got obsessed with it, and hence my entire second year I was on the wheel throwing all these pieces.
As I'm in visual art school, I'll definitely consider myself a mixed media artist because I like to use everything and anything that I could possibly use. In the world, I guess I would think of myself more as just a creator, because I think I'm using more than just techniques that I've learned in school. It's like the things that I've learned throughout my entire life. And my art is about being a Black person in the world, being a human in the world, dealing with emotions. In my research, since I've been at SACI, I've explored myself like a lot, and the things that have been connected to me. So the people who are connected to me, the people who influence me, that's pretty much how my research has evolved. It's become about me, but about that bigger part of me that I see in the rest of the world. When I got to SACI, I sat in my studio yeah, I have no idea what I'm about to create and how to start creating. And then after working with some really amazing professors, so like Justin Thompson and Pietro Gagliano, Dayan, I really started to understand more what I was interested in. So I knew that when I was coming to Italy, I wanted to study what Black life was like outside of America. And I didn't know how to start that. And so now I think that since I've been here, I've really been able to understand a discourse between people of what that means to be a human, and to have a Black body in the world, or to be a person of color, and how it matters and how it feels. Now I can make work that addresses myself, but also addresses other people's experiences. It's completely different than everything that I have known my entire life. Being in Italy, being in Florence. People, the language, life, going to the grocery store, walking everywhere. Oh my God, that was just not a regular for me. It's been bittersweet. I had to get used to it. I was not used to being stared at all the time by people on the street, treated a certain kind of way. Usually the only people of color, Black people that I would see, were merchants on the road, So it took some getting used to. And I don't know if I'm still used to it yet either. But I think that it's really helped me grow so much. I've gotten a broader view than what I had before, and I've been able to connect with a lot of people. So it's just kind of different and it's relative, and I've gotten the opportunity to appreciate the culture and appreciate people. Since I've been here, since I got here, I've been working with Black History Month Florence, which is ran by Justin Thompson, who's been one of my independent studies. That's been an amazing experience because I've got to meet people of color, living in like Italy, France, and Germany, and I got to go to Belgium last year to be like a representative of Black History Month Florence. Being in Florence has like given me that opportunity to grow and expand my knowledge, my conversation, my viewpoint, and connect with people who have similar experiences and similar moments in the world as I.
So my current body of work is called Sweet River True Peace, and I started working on it, I would say, even about 7 years ago when I first arrived in Guatemala and started working with indigenous populations. Basically, the work itself follows individuals of these communities and how they're dealing with this ongoing pressure to assimilate and leave behind their own cultural traditions. All of the negatives that are used are developed on site in Guatemala. This allows for the film to then be interacted by with the people. Often it collects dust and other things because it's drying in people's homes. For me, that's kind of in this poetic way to really push the medium of photography past just capturing the light of the actual location. Ways of which I've decided to print are ranging on the spectrum of the highest quality prints, so the platinum palladium prints, which I have and will be on display alongside tape image transfers. I like that because it kind of mimics the ways in which we so devalue these indigenous cultures and yet how they're so beautiful. So my work has really progressed since being here at SACI, and I have a lot of people to thank for that because of the professionals I've been working with. I've found solutions to working in analog without needing a processing lab. So I've learned how to develop my own film with caffeinol C, which is basically instant coffee and vitamin C powder. Other ways, obviously, I've learned a lot more about how to actually sequence my work and how to think about putting it into a cohesive and understandable story. For me personally, Florence hasn't influenced my work all that much, but it's allowed me to travel to where my ancestors come from in the north of Italy and to be more connected with my Italian roots. For me, that's really helped my work in Guatemala with other cultures. I can understand the feeling of loss that these people are experiencing as they're being pushed to assimilate with a stronger cultural force. Other ways in which Florence has influenced me is because I'm not a huge fan of the claustrophobic streets. It's really pushed me to spend more physical time in the dark room, which is a huge passion of mine, and to explore other modes of working. I have made incredible friends here, many of which are graduating with me now, and that's really just pushed my work a lot further in exchanging ideas and having such a strong artistic community.
The work I have done over the last 2 years, I call it emotion transfer. It's a technique I was inspired by from the past. In my technique, I mix an old technique with the new by using a product similar to Polaroids, but it's a modern product with the same kind of qualities as Polaroids and even better. My work focuses on social issues. Mainly I use the skin as a metaphor, and I like to look for the unexpected. It's a metaphor on skin, how we as a society often only value skin as from the economic view, which means what it can sell, not so much what qualities it actually represents. When I first started SACI, I came as a professional artist from the commercial world with the intention to build my new portfolio into the fine art and moving into the fine art world. And by doing so, I needed to do research, find more the meaning and the beauty in the art I was creating. Florence has influenced me because it created a tension between the old world and the modern world. Florence had to influence me as an artist. You're just in the middle of all that art and beauty and the historical, architectural details with every step you're taking in town. I kept joking when I would talk to people at home that if I visit one more church, I'm gonna hit the ceiling of heaven because we experience so much historical art in Florence, and that experience snuck into my studio and influenced me a great deal.
So I've always been interested in women and how they just evolved throughout history. Patriarchy is a very big impact on womanhood. Women have not really been able to overcome history itself. Just breaking free and letting women be who they want to be. We can be ourselves. We don't have to follow these norms that we have to be a mom, we have to be this perfect wife, or we have to be this idol that we need to be silent or tolerate injustice. I am just trying to make women be more comfortable and being more free. I really do enjoy making this because it makes me happy knowing that I can help other women, or in my community projects, just really connecting. It's something that's very important to me, that I'm learning from experience, I'm learning from environments that's so special that I can't really express only through my work. And that's something that I'm learning every day. And I am truly really happy to be here and working with these awesome people all the time. But yeah, I think I'm learning as I'm going and meeting new people. That's really inspiring. So my work did take a big jump, as in I was more as a potter. I've always loved pottery. It's something that's my passion and I love dearly, but I've always wanted to do a little more. I've always wanted to make a lot of work. So installations was a really big part of my work that I really truly fell in love with, and I've kept going with it. So mostly from making single pottery pieces to an actual installation that becomes one piece as something that really did change on my work, and I'm really, really excited because I do have a tendency to make a lot of what I do. So it's not that I am a little obsessive, but it's fun. I really enjoy making a lot of stuff for one thing. I think that's a really good change that I've noticed, that from a potter I came to an installation artist, but I'm still keeping my pottery skills. I am reapplying what I've learned in the past and putting them into something new and just applying it and not being afraid of using these techniques in a different way. So it's really experimental. Everything has been an experiment. I use a lot of colors like maiolica. Italy's famous for their maiolica, and I'm using a lot of their terracotta, and it's screaming for color. I cannot leave it without color, so it's something that I really am enjoying, having a low-fired clay, so it's fun. Lisa Nocentini being my mentor, my teacher, She's helped me a lot to push my boundaries, and she's been a great support with me following my ceramics path. Being a TA for a year with her was really inspiring because I've always wanted to be an educator. So it's been nice to have her as a mentor and really push me to my limits to see, okay, this is how I can change and continue on making my work.
Basically, I discovered this year that most of my work is about time, about a moment in time. It's a fleeting moment, and I was trying to capture these, and I was doing a lot of observation work. In the fall, the light and shadows are beautiful in Florence area, you know, and I started looking at that differently and getting a different take on that. And at the same time, I was trying to paint larger, and I was also painting with a different medium. Prior to that, I was painting with a thicker impasto cold wax medium, and I was doing a lot of scratching back into it. When I said, okay, I want to start painting shadows and light, and then I developed into a method of painting very fluid. And one of the teachers said, that's velatura. And I love the word velatura. In English, it just translates as a glaze. And in Italian, it translates as a veil, a haze, a fog, even a sail. So I started studying that and following some research on light and shadow, and it just all started to develop for me this year because I used different materials and really tried to discover what the painting needed instead of what I wanted to do. A lot of my work at the beginning was very I was trying to paint abstract, but I was still had a representational quality to it. Both materials, process, things were just not lining up. And then the second term, my DIS, Pietro Manzo, really kind of broke open and started to get the best of me. And my work started to improve using a method of going around and just painting everything, even a bump on the wall or a warm white, a cool white, any kind of shadow. For me, that was an experience that just kind of opened up my eyes that not everything has to be a finished product. There's a lot of learning to do. Well, I think Florence is, of course, it's so amazing, and it really just kind of opened up my eyes to all the possibilities, and it didn't make me feel intimidated working around all these masterworks. It was inspiring. The light and the shadow, I mean, you can see it coming in my window now, and the buildings, the colors have inspired me. When I came here, I started painting more beiges and a lot of terracotta colors, and my colors started to mimic what was around. And then just the relationships in Italy and in Florence. If I was going to a school back in the States, I wouldn't have had opportunities like showing a painting at the Grand Palais last week. I just had a teacher take me and introduce me to Renato Rinaldi, amazing contemporary artist that's right here in Florence, and just those type of magic moments that are here in Florence.